This is an RNZ podcast.
Nā manakitanga o te wā, I'm Zion, and look what we have here. It's news to me with everything you need to know heading into the weekend. Millions of people around the world watched the historic state funeral of Queen Elizabeth in England. King Charles led a sombre procession behind his mother's coffin to Westminster Abbey in London. The coffin was then taken to Windsor, where the Queen was buried alongside her husband, Prince Philip, who died last year. A minute's silence will be held in New Zealand on Monday during a public holiday to mark the death of the Queen. Flights out of Russia have sold out fast after the government there ordered 300,000 Russians to fight in Ukraine. Police arrested protesters in Russia rallying against their President Vladimir Putin's decision to send in more soldiers. The move follows heavy losses in Ukraine, where forces have recaptured a large area of Russian-occupied land. Mercenary groups have also been recruiting maximum security convicts with offers of early release if they join the war effort and they survive for at least 6 months. Marine conservationists launched a rescue mission in Tasmania to save more than 200 pilot whales, but tragically only 32 survived. Strandings have become more frequent in Tasmania, a large island off the south coast of Australia, but their cause can often be a mystery. Pilot whales are known to misnavigate and beach themselves. Also, climate change might be shifting where they find food. Certain beach and tidal conditions could make a place more prone to strandings, and both Tasmania and New Zealand are well-known hotspots. Music star Billie Eilish has just finished her New Zealand tour, and good news, her brother is now waiting in the wings. Phineas O'Connell is among the lineup announced for January's Laneway Festival in Auckland. Other big names at the festival include Haim and Fred again. Pop star Justin Bieber is still expected to perform his one New Zealand show at the end of the year, despite cancelling other tour dates. Thank goodness, because I'm going to that one. But Ed Sheeran has disappointed Wellington fans, where one of his planned 3 concerts in the country has been cancelled. There are still 2 dates at Auckland's Eden Park in early Feb. The All Whites lost 1-0 to Australia on Thursday night. New Zealand sent an understrength side to Brisbane as many of the top players were injured. There were a few chances from both teams in an action-packed first half until the 32nd minute when Spanish-based winger Auer Mobile scored this ripper. It was one of the first of 2 friendlies between the Anzac nations. The return match at Eden Park kicks off at 4 p.m. on Sunday, and it's very important to not be late. That's because the clocks go forward an hour on Sunday morning, so it's easy to get caught out. But why do we change the time? Here's our explainer.
Every year we move our clocks forward or back an hour. But do you know why? Today it's all about daylight savings, e Hoama.
We need to begin way back in time. Back before there were clocks, in fact, before the idea of hours and minutes even came into form, time was measured by natural rhythms. The day started when the sun rose and ended when it set, and Māori marked the seasons by the cycle of the moon.
But when the British arrived in Aotearoa, they brought with them a Christian calendar that followed the sun. This Gregorian calendar allocates the days of the week, the months, years and seasons, which is based off the Earth's revolution of the sun.
But since the sun can't be the same everywhere, a coordinated universal time was created. These are worldwide time zones which are allocated sections of the planet that adopt specific times. New Zealand was the first country to have used nationwide time. However, even with all of this modern coordination, there are still times where the days don't act quite the same. So, why does the sun shine for longer at different times of the year?
During the summer, the southern hemisphere tilts closer towards the sun and gives more light during the day. Same goes in the northern hemisphere when these countries enter their summer months.
Have you heard the story of how Maui slowed the sun? Maui noticed that there wasn't enough daylight to complete tasks each day, and so decided to slow it down.
Well, in 1895, a Kiwi scientist named George Hudson had the same idea as Maui. Well, sort of. Mr. Hudson studied insects and wanted to take advantage of the daylight hours in order to hunt for bugs. So he suggested that the time of day be shifted around during the sunnier months.
This is what's known as daylight saving time. It's when clocks are moved forward 1 hour from standard time during the summer months and back again in autumn. In America, they say spring forward, fall back, fall being America's version of autumn. In 1927, daylight savings officially took effect here in New Zealand. It starts each year on the last Sunday in September and it ends on the first Sunday in April.
So you see, just like Maui and Mr. Hudson had hoped, we get to experience more of the sunshine by applying daylight savings time, giving us more fun in the sun, which is great news to me.
I'm Evie York, and this episode was made by TVNZ and RNZ and is public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air. You or your parents can follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or just about any podcast app. Plus, you can watch News to Me on TV2 on Friday afternoons, catch it on demand, or listen to it just before the 7 o'clock news on Saturday mornings on RNZ National.